And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. Many of us have used in some form or fashion the car service called Uber. But you always needed a credit card. But now that's going away for some. Let's get to it with our expert to ask why. Joining us now is Dr. Dietrich von Biedenfeld. And Dr. von Biedenfeld, what we're hearing around the country and seeing slowly in phases, Uber is now accepting cash. Now, when they first started, it was a cashless system. You had to have a credit card in their app in order to get a ride from their many drivers around the country. But now that is slowly changing. We've seen changes in Hawaii, now Los Angeles, San Francisco. Where is Uber going with this, and why are they now all of a sudden accepting cash?
Right. And we go back to the root concern that cash acceptance brings, which is driver safety. Drivers carrying cash are oftentimes available to be targets of robberies, and that then diminishes the acceptability of their competition with other ride-sharing apps. At present, we still have a minimal number of assaults and other issues that happen during rideshare services across them. And so really not accepting cash hasn't deterred crime from certain elements. So that because that concern has been eliminated, they move to the second consideration, which is accessibility. And when you think about gas stations requiring $300 of initial pre-authorization, particularly with credit scores dropping, the government shutdown highlighting certain economic uncertainty, layoffs at nearing highs for this season. Those sorts of concerns mean that fewer people might be able to utilize their services, which can reduce revenue. So you want to increase accessibility not only for the altruistic reasons stated in these very limited circumstances. Of course, it's only between 6 p.m. and 11 p.m., only in these select markets. For now, but as they expand, they're going to test this theory and see if they can increase their rideshare utilization across competitors, whether it be Lyft or the former ideas of certain other competitors, to say we're the sort of everyman or every woman rideshare acceptability app, and we're going to take all your cash and make sure that our drivers are being employed.
Now, are they further putting the nail in the coffin when it comes to cabs, taxi services out there, maybe even bus rides where people still use a lot of cash? Are they going after those markets as well? Because they've all but, in some experts' opinions, decimated the taxi cab service around the country, even though they're still big in cities like New York.
Well, we know U.S. Americans are notoriously bad with money. And so with the lowering credit scores, this does open the door for individuals who might have otherwise only said, I've got $5, $10 of cash. I've maxed out my credit card. I'm not sure when my next payment is going to be made. I'll just take the bus. Wait a second. For $10, I can get across town, direct door-to-door service, because this app is now accepting it. So absolutely, we've seen delays with various public infrastructure in the Houston region. We've seen aging infrastructure across the country with rails and other public modes of transportation. And people are saying, wait a second, buses may not be the safest way, right? So we've seen a heightened media sensationalism of various crimes committed against passengers on these sort of public transportation things, where people say, I want to ride in an enclosed vehicle. I want to get door-to-door service. And now this agency is offering me a cash option where I don't have to pre-authorize and hold $200, $300 or risk my credit score going up. I can just say, what do I have in my pocket? This is what I can afford. And of course, if you book it and you don't have enough cash on hand, you really kind of get a little loan, because the next time you try to book through the app is when they'll try to charge you. So they'll let you take the ride. But if you realize that the ride is $20 and you only had 15, you don't have to pay the other $5 until you next book on the app. So you can a little bit control your credit utilization in this app.
Will we see higher rides for those who may be using cash, or less? Because then you don't have the swipe fees. Or did that even play a role when it comes to Ubers? I know Uber, because I know many businesses are complaining about those swipe fees. They have to pay the credit card companies a certain percentage. Well, if you're using cash, will the prices go down of Uber?
I'm not sure that the prices would go down because those point of service sale percentages are relatively minimal, and it depends on the card and it depends on who is going to pay it. But I do think driver satisfaction actually may go up because drivers are going to have more transparency on what fees they're paying. So one of the complaints that's drawn on lack of clarity by drivers on what fees Uber is collecting. Do we get 100% of our tips? Okay, but also what percentage of the ride are we getting? So that I think that cash may improve driver satisfaction, which will then improve customer service. And that further does put the nail in the coffin of taxis, where in a lot of these corporate environments or unionized environments, people sort of become functional employees and they don't necessarily have the joy of their job. And so, in that sense, as drivers say, hey, actually, I get to do this. I'm seeing transparently what I'm keeping. I get to see what I'm sending and disclosing to Uber or the other, rideshare accounting principles. This is a lot better for me. And then again, that lack of clarity that causes disgruntled employees sometimes is removed. But I do think that this will increase the ability of people to say, you know what, actually, I'm going to book a ride based on the cash that I have on hand, and it's going to open up a new market and demographic for them.
All right. We'll see what happens. And of course, if you are a Uber user, check your specific area to see if they now accept cash, if that's what you're interested in. And we'll see how this develops.